Roda. 5th behind him is Petrobelli. 6th is Piccini. 7th is Kekler now. 8th is Jan Claret, so he's gained a place. 9th is Julien Jou's place he's gained, and Henri Moser is down to 10th. He was the one that really lost out as they were coming out of the hairpin on that previous lap. Ran wide, lots of people scrabbled by, and now Andrea Piccini starting to go better, just like we saw at Monza at the start of the season. This is an Audi that seems to get faster and faster as the race wears on. Fuel load coming down on that car, of course, and he now makes the move on the inside, and he's going to go through, is he? Yes, just about under braking, he's done it. Goes past Petrobelli, and Frank Kekler there in the turquoise and black Ferrari, also looking for a way by. Kekler wanting to try to get himself through. Is it going to pay off? He's got right with him Jan Claret. The two of them are together, but Jan Claret goes back ahead. Absolutely wonderful racing we've had in the first 40 minutes of this race. Big lock up there. That's Claret drifting out way wide. Kekler is alongside him, but can the Ferrari get up alongside him? He can't. Jan Claret hangs on to the place. Jan Claret then, having gained 7th on this lap, is doing his best to lose the position, but Frank Kekler has not yet been able to totally unsettle him. Wouldn't have done Jan Claret's tyres much good, that big lock-up, but he's managed to hang on to the place. The Michelin-shod Aston Martin now trying to attack Giacomo Petrobelli. And Frank Kekler under pressure from Julien Jou's now. You're on board with Claret. The Aston Martin blasting its way down towards the completion of the lap. But again, while you've got this long train of cars battling, it's playing into the hands of the 3 leaders, because Leinders, Salaquada and Ludovic Badet are getting away now. Gianluca Roda trying to escape in 4th place, Piccini going through 5th, but the gap now between the cars that are 3rd and 4th, 7 seconds. And the gap between 1st and 4th, between the leading BMW and the 4th place Porsche, 10 seconds. So that gap is widening all the while. Gianluca Roda needing some good laps now to bring that car back into contention, but you rule out the Orlando Sport Porsche at your peril. Now Jan Claret trying to make his move on the inside here. Is he going to be able to go through ahead of Giacomo Petrobelli? Up towards the Adelaide hairpin they come. You're looking at the way things stand in the Pro Cup at the moment. Kekler on the inside as well, trying to follow the Aston Martin through. And Julien Jou's trying to go round the outside of the ball. Petrobelli is the one going backwards. Jan Claret gaining ground. Julien Jou has gone ahead of Frank Kekler now. And all this for Jou from the very back of the grid. Fantastic performance. There it is. The Rd4 Motorsport Promotion Ferrari doing a tremendous job in the hands of Julien Jou, despite that bit of smoke we've seen. Next target is the Jan Claret Aston Martin. What a battle. Frank Kekler then, having tried to gain places, has lost out. Ludovic Badet leading in Pro-Am at the moment from Nick Homerson. Badet 3rd overall. Nick Homerson is in 11th overall. He's just coming into the picture in the background, in fact, in the 2nd of the turquoise and black Ferraris, Nick Homerson, working his way through traffic up on the inside. Now, Gianluca Roda's 4th place. He's under real jeopardy now because Andrea Piccini has come up onto the tail of him. There's Henri Moser fighting back. He's got himself now past Petrobelli. Giacomo Petrobelli was 6th at the start of the lap. He's lost loads of ground on this 19th lap of the race. The leaders go through. Now this is the fight going on for 2nd and 3rd places. There are battles everywhere. So you've got one for 2nd, you've got one going on for 4th place as well. But Philippe Salaquada, remember, who did that excellent job of leading earlier on, is now coming under big pressure from Ludovic Badet, who understands Ferrari 458 a little more than Philippe does. He's been racing them all year. The two of them nose to tail as they make their way up now towards the Adelaide hairpin. Ludovic Badet in there, the Rd4 car, number 20. Former French Formula Renault racer, Formula Renault Euro Cup front runner as well, sharing that car with Franck Morel and the very experienced, if not as quick as Ludovic Badet, Jean-Luc Bobelic. So a lot of the work here has to be done by Ludovic Badet. He's the real gun in that car. He has got to drag it into contention. And it looks as though he's being held up rather by Philippe Salaquada at the moment, which is bad news for the French driver. Salaquada then hangs onto his place. Those two nose to tail then. The Czech driver Philippe Salaquada makes his way through the chicane up towards Chateau d'Eau and of Imola up towards the right-hander. And while they're battling now, whilst Salaquada is having to defend, so Bas Leinders is getting away. 3.5 seconds was the advantage last time through that the BMW had built up. Now there, Giacomo Petrobelli down in 10th. Behind him 11th is Nick Homerson. And then, in the Gulf liveried Lamborghini, is the redoubtable Fabien Girard coming into the picture now as well. Closing up under braking there, going up towards the Chateau d'Eau part of the circuit. And Fabien Girard now into his 50s, always a competitive driver. There you can see Julien Jousse gain 6th at the expense now of Yann Claret. So from the back of the grid up now into the top 6. It's a wonderful drive this by Julien Jousse. How far up the order can he realistically get that car? And remember that that runs in the Pro Cup, so he's got 2 quick co-drivers in the shape of Patrice Guélard and Jérôme Policant. It's just assuming it's going to be reliable, it's going to be competitive all race. Fabien Girard goes through, then up into 11th spot now at the expense of Petrobelli. Has Giacomo got a problem in the Scuderia Vittoria car? He's dropping down and down the order. And now, look, going through on the inside is 32, Stefano Ortelli. But discount Stefan, for the moment at least, because he's a lap back. He's 21st overall, but he has to try somehow to get back a lap. With that car running out of sequence now, having refueled earlier, he could possibly do that late in the race. Now there, off the road, has spun the McLaren. That looks like the number 60 car that Klaus Hummel started from the back of the grid. Yes, it is. Can the McLaren get going once again? It's been a rather checkered day for poor old Klaus. The car stopped on him with this starter motor issue in Q2. 3-part qualifying in this Blancpain Endurance Series. Now, what can Fabien Girard here do about Nick Hommerson ahead of him? The last lap that Girard did was a 46. Hommerson did a 45.5. And the Nissan there, you can see, number 35 is in 14th place and about to become 13th, I dare suggest. Richard Westbrook now on the tail of Petrobelli. There you can see the McLaren looking a little bit forlorn by the side of the road, and that's losing laps and it's losing places all the while as everyone else comes streaming past. So number 3, the Aston Martin of Yann Claret here, keeping Frank Kechler at bay. This Rd4 Ferrari has not looked as strong as the number 29 entry, Philippe Salaquada, belying his lack of experience in this car, doing a tremendous job hanging on to 2nd place. But the gap now is 5.6 seconds. Having to defend this 2nd position is not helping Salaquada in terms of lap times, and it is not helping him in terms of staying with the leader, Bas Linders. There is the leader, more traffic ahead. The Lotus, number 61, is about to be negotiated. That's the car that Laurence Frey shares with Rolf Maritz and Freddie Bath, winners at Navarra. But Philippe Salaquada is certainly being impressive in this car. The Czech driver, first time out in the Blancpain Endurance Series, first race in the Ferrari, and he's keeping at bay Ludovic Badet then as the 2 Ferraris work at the moment, lap 22. 2 hours and 22 minutes of the race remain. And of course those cars that can get to the hour mark, or maybe just a little bit after that, on a tank of fuel are going to be helped. Well, we've had that 1 lap under the safety car. How much will that have helped the fuel economy? It will have helped a little bit, but only a very small amount will it have helped. That McLaren looking as though it's going to be a retirement. It's still sitting by the side of the road. There's nobody there to give it a push. There's no snatch vehicle to move it out of the way. So it rather looks disappointingly as though that car could be another retirement here. Alvaro Parente, incidentally, having lost time in the pits, back in the race, but 23rd. So that's another car to look for, trying to work its way back into contention. Stefano Ortelli now up into 20th place in the WRT Belgian Audi Club Audi R8. Meantime, we're looking at the battle for 2nd and 3rd places. Philippe Salaquada's car better at certain parts of the circuit than others. And Ludovic Badet then very, very good on the brakes down towards the end of the lap. Traffic in the way. They'll get past the Lotus Evora here. Both Ferraris dive by on the way in towards turn 1, the Grand Courbe. And meantime, lower down the order, Richard Westbrook is trying to gain ground. Look, in the Nissan, he's on the tail of Giacomo Petrobelli. This is for 13th and 14th places now. Fabien Girard I was talking about a moment ago in the Lamborghini has just done a personal best lap. He's broken into the top 10. Over the line goes Petrobelli then. And these two coming under pressure as well as the cars turn through turn 1, because 42 Eric Cairol, very experienced French GT and touring car racer, is hunting down the distinctive blue Nissan that tries to get the inside of Petrobelli's Ferrari. The JR Motorsports Nissan versus the Scuderia Vittoria Ferrari 458. And Giacomo Petrobelli then is doing a good job of defending the former Formula Palmer Audi racer turned GT driver. And he's got Richard Westbrook behind him in this 3.8 litre twin turbo Nissan. And Richard tries to go the long way round. Is he going to be able to do it at the Adelaide hairpin? He's going to run out of road there. And he's got to be a bit careful when he puts the power down, because sometimes that car looks a bit tail happy, and he's lost a place. Eric Cairol has gone by, I think. Yes, he has. Eric Cairol goes 14th now at the expense of Richard Westbrook. Everywhere you look, there are battles. Every battle you find has got places being traded, and this one has not yet resolved itself. Petrobelli has been falling down and down the order. Scuderia Vittoria, a new team this year, racing in the Clio Cup in the UK, in the Blancpain Endurance Series, in European GT3, in the British GT Championship. One first time out in British GT, in fact, at Dawson Park at the start of the year. Meantime, Rd4 versus Sofret for second place. Philippe Salaquada, being one of the real stars of the race so far, goes over the timing line, 6 seconds behind the race leader, but he's keeping second position. In third is Badet, and meantime, there you can see Fabien Girard versus Ortelli. Ortelli, remember, is a lap down, so Fabien Girard can afford to let him go rather than getting caught up in any needless battle. Girard's already had a bit of contact with the Cedric Lima Lamborghini earlier on in the race. You have to say, though, that Gulf liveried Lambo is going to drop away. Andrea Barlesi will be quick enough in that car, but Jean-Pierre Valentini, who is the third driver, is not on the same sort of pace, so it will fall away when you put Valentini behind the wheel. But that's, again, one of the aspects of this championship. Fabien Girard, then, having done a good job in his stint in that car, hauling it into the top 10. And an effort is being made, look, on the inside, just behind, by Nick Homerson to try to gain ground. He's got Lorenzo Beria de Vega's Lamborghini running with him. And then you've got Eric Cairol starting to close up as well. Cairol having picked his way past Giacomo Petrovelli now. Petrovelli having to defend from Richard Westbrook. So, Bas Linder's BMW leads the way, but here, second and third, still absolutely locked together. And Philippe Salaquada, somehow, is being able to keep Ludovic Badet behind him. The two Ferrari 458, same type of car, different teams running them, head down towards the completion of the lap. This is lap 23. The BMW goes over the timing line now, as out of the chicane come the two Ferraris. Well, we saw Oliver Turvey do the first stint in the 59 McLaren. He's out of the car, he's in the pit lane with Haley.
Ollie, can you give us an update on car number 59?
Yeah, we took the chance there in the safety car to make a pit stop and make the driver change. So yeah, it was great to get in the car this time in my first ever GT3 race, and great to start the race and gain that experience. Unfortunately, we're struggling quite a lot with some straight line speed, so it was quite difficult at the start of the race. But the car felt good, nice to drive, good balance. So hopefully we can keep on improving through the race.
I know you guys have suffered with an electrical problem. Is that the problem now with car number 60?
I'm not sure what's happened to car 60. I saw he was on the grass, but yeah, at the pit stop we had a slight problem starting the engine, but once it was fired, the car's running fine now. So
thank you.
Thanks.
So 59 going well, so too Philippe Salaquada hanging on to second place, keeping at Ludovic Badet, these two still running together. Now, meantime, Julien Jus, who is the other star of this first stint, from the back of the grid, running six, doing personal best laps, catching Andrea Piccini. Salaquada hangs on to second position. We've seen how well he's been able to defend when he was in the lead, keeping Ortelli and Linders at bay for as long as he could. Well, now he's doing exactly the same thing, staving off this challenge from Ludovic Badet's Ferrari. Cars making their way down then towards the completion of lap 25. Julien Jus has been, in this first stint of the race, the fastest driver. He has done the best lap of the race, a 1:41.309, which was in fact on that previous lap through. There is Julien Jus then, who is sixth at the moment. He's got right ahead of him Andrea Piccini for fifth, and Piccini is on the tail of Gianluca Roda, who does a good job in that car. He's not the quickest of the three in the Orlando Sport Porsche by a long way, but he does a very good, solid job. And Gianluca Roda then turns his way out of the Grand Courbe down now towards Estoril, hanging on to fourth place. And very wide indeed goes Piccini. Is this going to give a chance possibly to Julien Jus, as the number one Ferrari bails out of seventh place and comes down the pit road now? Number one then, Frank Heckler down the pit lane. There he is. Are we going to have a driver change in that car? I think the answer is going to be yes. Door opens. Meantime, to the inside goes Julien Jus, but he's not going to be able to get past Piccini there, I don't think. No, he can't quite do it. And Piccini tries to get past Gianluca Roda coming out of the corner. And that doesn't work either. And all over the grass, trying to gain ground with Julien Jus. Again, you just don't believe they're treating this as an endurance race. It's a 3-hour race with 2 hours 15 minutes still to go, and another tremendous battle is building up now for fourth place. Gianluca Roda just ahead of Piccini, just ahead of car number 10 then. Julien Jus at the wheel. all of this for 4th, 5th and 6th as the cars head now towards the chicane at the Nürburgring, sorry, the Imola chicane I should say, up towards Chateau d'Eau. And this time around it rather looks as though Piccini is the one having to do the defending. Julien Juste tucked up behind him looking for a way through. Now Frank Kekler is about to rejoin, or at least that car is. Blasts into the race. Rd4 at the pit exit end of the pit road. We've also had 38 Giacomo Petrobelli come in as well now. Wide there goes the Audi, up the inside goes the Ferrari of Julien Juste, and so 5th from the back of the grid becomes now Julien Juste. It really is a superb effort this, and so Julien Juste, then the French driver, from 35th to 5th, goes through yet more ground gain, and look, straight away pulls away from Andrea Piccini. Bas Linders leading the way by 6.7 seconds. Gianluca Roda, however, hangs on to his 4th place here. For how much longer, though? Because he's got the inevitable Julien Juste bearing down on him. Is he going to be able to find a way through on this lap? Well, to be fair to Gianluca Roda, he's a good defensive driver, vastly experienced Porsche pilot, not just in this championship, but also he's been a mainstay of the International GT Open, runner-up for the last 3 seasons, in fact. But it's interesting the way here that Piccini is losing ground, rather, to the flying Julien Juste. So having been on the tail of the Porsche, now all of a sudden Piccini falls away. The number 60 McLaren, by the way, Klaus Hummel, back into the race. Many laps down now, sad to say, but the car is still circulating, which is what McLaren GT, the team, wants to do as many laps with the cars. More development, more mileage, more lessons learned. The race leader, Bas Linders for the Mark VDS Racing team, there he is, comes down towards the completion of lap 27. We're approaching the end of the first third of the race then, just under 13 minutes away from the end of the first hour, and Bas Linders leading the way. We've had 3 different cars lead, this, the Salaquada Ferrari, and for all of a corner, Stefano Ortelli's Audi, don't forget. It was briefly ahead, but only ever so briefly. Giacomo Petrobelli's Ferrari, which we've seen losing places, made a pit stop, and I think he's still, yes it is, in the pit road. So 38 Ferrari tumbling further and further down the order. Bas Linders then holding sway up front, and number 1 that we saw pit has now been taken over by Nico Verdonk. That car currently in 17th place. An early pit stop, it must be said, for that number 1 car, but again it was another one that seems to be losing a little bit of pace. But whether it's been a good idea to get that on a different strategy and perhaps therefore clear of some of the back markers, we'll have to wait and see. Whether it was running on a lighter fuel load to begin with, but either way, number 1 finds itself with lots of work to do. In the meantime, you've got the number 20 Ferrari, Ludovic Badet, still running in 3rd place. 4th is Gianluca Roda, and into the pit lane has just come the 59 Alvaro Parent McLaren. That suggests that all is not well there. We've also got the 61 Lotus having just pitted. Lawrence Frey having done that first stint in the car that was competitive in GT4. Well, there you can see Scuderia Vittoria's troubled Ferrari, which looks like it's going to be in for quite a long time. And the McLaren behind, Alvaro Parent, has just brought that car into the pit lane. It was within the top 20. But now it's going to lose more ground, I'm afraid. Gianluca Roda then hangs on to 4th place, at least for the moment. Julien Juste behind, and now that those two have got themselves together and are holding each other up, look what's happened. Creeping back into the picture is the 33 Audi. Andrea Piccini then is catching up once more. Bouncing over the curb is Juste. That car looking very, very twitchy indeed as he puts the power down out of the chicane over the line. The GT3 cars for the moment going further, in fact, than GT4 cars on fuel, because now Alex Buncombe has just come into the pit road as well. Scuderia Vittoria's Ferrari going to its garage. There is the 61 Lotus then, a class winner in GT4 already this season. And this gives the number 70 Lotus an even greater advantage in class at the moment. Eduardo Piscopo, who tends to do the first stint in that car, leading the way. Meantime, working his way through the traffic is Philippe Salaquada. Gianluca Roda then keeping number 10 Ferrari behind. Julien Juste looks for a way by. We're on lap 29 then here. There is number 10 Julien Juste. Ludovic Badet losing out on this lap in the first sector. Gianluca Roda trying to get past back markers. He gets past Piscopo. He's also taking with him Julien Juste. So this is where the top GT3 drivers really earn their money, because they're trying to attack the places and defend at the same time. They've got to work their way through traffic. There's an awful lot going on. You can't drop your guard for a second. And Gianluca Roda, as I say, may not be quite as quick as those ahead, but he's doing a very good job. Or he was up alongside him almost with Julien Juste. But look at the way the Porsche fights back. It's got that bit of frontal damage from earlier on. But Gianluca Roda doing exactly what he did at Monza, keeping the car in contention in the first stint and being able to fend off what you might think were quicker drivers, quicker cars. Here comes Juste up the inside, down towards turn 15, but Roda just moves across on him, takes the line for the corner, so Julien Juste is denied once more. The French driver stuck behind the Italian. Out of the chicane, Andrea Piccini running behind them in 6th place. And that lap through, incidentally, Salaquara has just done a personal best lap. He's a bit closer to the race leader. He's also, therefore, getting away now, rather, just a little bit more that last lap through from Ludovic Badet. Big slide there by the Porsche. Gianluca Roda, too much speed, carried into the Estoril corner, but he manages to catch the slide. But has it compromised his exit speed? I think it has. Right on his tail now, Julien Juste, this for 4th place. Up they come towards the braking area now, hard on the brakes into the Adelaide hairpin, and the 51 Ferrari getting in the way. Then he's been made contact by the Porsche, and that delays Gianluca Roda enough then to allow up the inside Julien Juste. So there's more damage on the front of the Porsche, and 51 getting in the way then. I'm afraid that the number 51 Ferrari rather compromises the effort of Gianluca Roda. There's more damage on the front of the Porsche. Julien Juste goes by then, gains the place, but Gino Forgione getting in the way. Contact was made between him and Roda, and now not only has Gianluca lost a place, but he's being caught by Andrea Piccini. And the danger about front damage on Porsches is how close to the front of the car the radiator is. It can sometimes be only the lightest of taps that damages the radiator. Hopefully it has not done that to Gianluca Roda's car, but you can see how second-hand it's looking. It's had a couple of big impacts so far in this race. And we're not even at the end of the first hour, and that car looking decidedly second-hand. So Roda losing a place, and Julien Juste, he's not going to get the lead, is he? But that car could yet be a winning car, given the way that it's going and how you've got the unknown quantities of other drivers ahead to see what happens for them later in the race. So we have Patrice Goillard and Jérôme Policon as the other drivers of the number 10 Ferrari. Patrice Goillard, you saw in the pit lane. Now there, number 9 goes wide off into the gravel. Gianluca Roda goes off through the gravel. He's kept the car going. Is he going to be able to get back onto the circuit without getting bogged down? Yes, he is. That's exactly what Paolo Roberti did in the qualifying session. He slides back onto the road, manages to hang onto the car. He's going to be able to stay ahead of the Audi of Andrea Piccini. The two of them nose to tail as they head up towards the Adelaide hairpin now. Those two tied together, but that was a big drama then for the Porsche. So Gianluca Roda comes out the other side of the gravel. Up the inside goes the Audi now, and that is the Stefano Telli Audi, in fact, which is the car that's a lap down. So we've got 33 Andrea Piccini through already, and Gianluca Roda now having to try to play catch-up after that big lose going through the gravel. Another spin. That is the Eric Cairol Ferrari having a big lose off into the gravel, and that car has been tagged by the Nissan. And so we've got then 42, Eric Cairol off into the gravel, and hopefully that car's going to be able to get going from there. It was clipped, we gather, by Richard Westbrook in the Nissan. Now they were battling for 12th place, and a loop for the Ferrari puts it into the gravel. So it is all happening as ever it has been really in the race so far, and that's the change for 2nd place about to happen, coming through the chicane. Finally, Ludovic Badet has gone through. Everywhere you look, every camera shot shows you something else happening, and that's the change for 2nd place. We've had some great racing in the Blancpain Endurance Series so far this year. This is the best of the lot, and this 4th round of the championship being led by BMW. The Ferrari fight for 2nd place now, putting Ludovic Badet ahead of Philippe Salaquada. And there's a yellow flag zone, of course, here after Eric Cairol's 430 Ferrari got tagged into its spin and has rotated. What's going to happen next? It's been a remarkable race so far. Marc VDS Racing lead the way. Now, historically, that is a team that is quick, but tends to have its little dramas on the reliability stakes. Hopefully that won't happen. What about Jérôme Policon's Ferrari? It's up into 2nd place.
Jérôme, what a performance in the Ferrari by Julien.
It's amazing because it starts from 35 in the grid, because we have a gearbox problem during the qualify. He didn't even do a lap in a dry condition, and now he's charging in his fourth. For sure, we know he was fast, but today he proves that he's one of the best French drivers around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, fourth for Julien Jousse. Second is the sister car of Ludovic Badet, which of course is also leading the Pro-Am Cup, lest you forget. So number 20, a class leading car, but there's Julien Jousse, fourth at the moment. That's going to be good for a top three result, isn't it? How far up within the top three remains to be seen, but against three quick drivers in that car, we still need to find out exactly how rapid Martin Matschke is going to be when he does the middle stint in 29. I would think Michael Bartels is going to be pretty pleased with the way that Philippe Salaquada has gone. Over the line there goes Bas Leinders then. So the race leader, and you're riding with him, working his way now through Grand Cours down towards Estoril. And that's a yellow flag zone because, of course, of the Eric Cairol Ferrari having to be snatched out of the way. Up to the Adelaide hairpin. Bas Leinders leads the race. Now, is he going to be caught by Ludovic Badet? Well, the gap between them is up to 7.3 seconds, although Badet lost more time trying to overtake. Now, there's the Porsche. Gianluca Roda is in. And what is a rather second-hand looking Porsche 911 now, with mechanics trying to jump onto the bodywork to make it roughly Porsche-shaped again, and then perhaps have to tap it down. Gianluca Roda will give way to Raffaele Giammaria, who tends to do the middle stint in that car, and Paolo Roberti brings it home. Julien Jousse has still done the best lap of the race. So number 9 comes in with effectively 3.5 minutes to go before the end of the first hour. So it's not gone quite as far as they may have hoped. It's not gone to the hour mark on that tank of fuel, but I just wonder whether they had a few alarm bells ringing after all the contact and thought it was a good idea to bring it in, just give it a check over. Now, number 1 is now being driven by Nico Verdon. That car, of course, was in that leading gaggle early on, pitted early, fell down the order to 17th. Leader having to lap the Nissan, which incidentally has been taken over by Jordan Tresson now. There's number 1, which is Nico Verdon. You've just seen he's a lap down, of course, against the BMW. And that Porsche is about to go a lap down as well if they're not careful. The BMW goes by. There's not too much tank tape on the front, it's just very wrinkled now, the front of the Ortolando Sport Porsche. Bits of a Ferrari or something else that needs dragging out of the way. Ah, that's going to help it, it'll be much lighter now, you've got rid of that bit. New Michelins go onto the Porsche. And this car falls down the order as number 10 now comes into the pit lane as well. So Julien Jousse, after that great effort, comes in, and Patrice Goillard, I would imagine, he's going to do the middle stint in that car. Jérôme Poliquin tends to finish. So Patrice Goillard, another very experienced French GT racer, to get on board. And number 50, Jack Gerber, in to give way to Matt Griffin. So Jack Gerber, who is quick, but nowhere near as quick as Matt Griffin. 17th he was. Gianluca Roda's car rejoins the race. Also the number 6 Lamborghini has come in. So this is where the order becomes very jumbled indeed. The top 3 remains the same. Bas Leinders ahead of Ludovic Badet, ahead of Philippe Salaquada. And it is indeed Giammaria who takes over number 9 then, confirmed as he goes through the pit's exit timing loop. There's the number 18 Porsche that had its spin early on in the race. That car now is down in 30th place. That was the reason for the safety car, remember, many laps ago. And normally that is a fairly rapid car. The car started by Alessandro Bonetti, Gianluca De Lorenzi, the other driver of that car. Number 6 in, started by Lorenzo Barrio de Vega, and that having been the best placed, in fact, of the Lamborghinis. So we are just about at the end of the first hour of the race. Yellow lights are flashing on the gantry on the pit straight, but there's no suggestion of the safety car. Looking to see if anybody has gone off at turn 3. Yes, they have. So we've got Eric Cairol's car still being snatched out of the way. It's rather a lengthy snatch operation, this. Still the yellow lights flash around the circuit. I was beginning to think it was a separate incident, but it's still that car being recovered to the service road. So it rather looks like Eric Cairol's car is going to be out of the race as well. Matt Griffin in number 50 is going to be certainly a man to watch in this middle stint now. Now, Paolo Roberti's Porsche has got damage, as we know. There it is. Let's hear from Paolo in the pits with Haley.
Paolo, just witnessed the damage to the Porsche. Will it be okay till the end of the race?
The car is okay. Gianluca had the contact with another Ferrari. I think he lose a little bit of time, but we're still fighting for a podium result. We try to do our best.
Thank you.
But it's a winning car, won at Monza, and the way that things can happen in the Blancpain Endurance Series suggests that even though it's now down the order, it will gain places back as others pit, and of course as others have their problems as well. So for the moment, this car runs in 17th place, a lap down, but it's going to be able to gain places, I would have thought, before the end of the race. That's for sure, because you get Gianmaria in the car now. He's quicker than Roda. And then Paolo Roberti for the last stint. He's quicker again. Meantime, Bas Linders has done a very good first hour in the BMW. No problems at all here. Worked his way through that lead battle. Picked up the top spot. Let them squabble behind him. Kept out of trouble, unlike Stefano Ortelli. The race order now, Linders leading Badet, Salaquada is third, Andrea Piccini up to fourth, Fabian Girard's Lamborghini is fifth, Jan Claret's Aston Martin sixth, Nick Homerson's Ferrari seventh, Henri Moser's Aston eighth, ninth is Richard Westbrook in the Nissan, and in 10th place now is 81 Porsche, Christian Kelders, the Belgian driver. As far as Nico Verdonk is concerned, he is 12th, so he's managed to keep track position, therefore ahead of the number 9 Porsche. Raffaele Gianmaria has got work to do here. Where did Matt Griffin rejoin in 50? 18th, so he's behind the Porsche. Number 31 has pitted as well now. Georges Cabana, double winner in the Gentleman Trophy this year. You can see how busy it is at the Adelaide Hairpin. You can see how much rubbish there is now offline there. But Philippe Salaquada in third place. How far away from the leader is he? He's 9.7 seconds. And if it's Martin Matschke to do the middle stint, they need to try to make it a rather short middle stint for him in that car, I think. Fabian Girard comes in, so 45 will drop down the order. We've also got Jan Claret and Nick Homerson both pitting as well now. So those cars will lose a little bit of ground. And 35, the Nissan, Richard Westbrook, to give way to David Brabham. There's the driver change for Hexis AMR, the 6th placed Aston Martin. So how far Bas Linders going to go? All of this suggesting as well that this BMW is very good on fuel, because it has had to run at a fairly frenetic pace in that lead battle early on. He's been able to pull away from others. So Bas Linders has certainly not been driving slowly. And that car leading the way now by 6.5 seconds, and he is still circulating, as also the second of the Sofrev cars, numerically number 20, which is in second place. The sister car down to 14th again after its pit stop. Patrice Guélard now having taken over. There's the leader, the number 40 BMW then leads the way. Last time around it was 7 seconds, the advantage that had been built up by Bas Linders. And the vastly experienced Belgian driver, one-time Minardi test driver, Carter, Formula Ford champion, raced in the British Formula Ford series for a while, raced in the Formula Opel Euro series, drove in German Formula 3, World Series by Nissan. And his GT involvement came in the quirky Alfa Romeo engine Gillette Vertigo many, many years ago, before he became part of the Mark VDS racing team in GT3 and in GT1 cars. And so Bas Linders then now, who has been a winner in the GT1 World Championship as well this year, won the qualifying races in Abu Dhabi and at the Sachsenring, powers on, all the while trying to build up the lead. But of course he's got two quick co-drivers in Maxime Martin and Marcus Paltela. Philippe Salaquada is in, so Martin Matschke expected to do the middle stint in that car. The tyres being changed, and the Czech driver then will be ready to go in a moment or two once that tyre stop has been completed. So 29 will drop down the order, of course, but it'll gain some of that lost ground back as other people pit. The pit lane getting busier and busier now. We've also had the 51 Ferrari in that was involved with this car a little bit earlier on. If you remember, there was contact. Away goes 29. So the Vita 4-1 Ferrari down the pit road as more and more head into the pit lane, in fact. Martin Matschke rejoins as now number 20 comes in as well. So the car it was fighting with pits, and Bas Linders just keeps on going, almost metronomically now, that car continuing. 36 after his spin, Marco Cassera has pitted. And the number 20 Ferrari, as I say, Ludovic Badet comes in also. So Ludovic Badet from second spot pits. Bas Linders just keeps on going, building up this lead all the time. This is potentially now going to give Andrea Piccini in the 33 Audi second place. But it's going to be after these pit stops have all unravelled that we'll get an idea of the true order and, of course, where the next battles are coming from. But while these pit stops are happening, so number 1 Ferrari Nico Verdonk is working his way up the order. 33 Andrea Piccini gets past Eric Cairol, and then Cairol gets tagged by Stefano Ortelli, who really is being in the wars here. And there's more bodywork goes flying. Now I think that's Audi bodywork. Let's try and have a look at the front of yeah, there it is. So it flew up earlier, now it's gone completely after yet more contact. Stefano Ortelli has got quite a bit of the red mist, it would appear here, and runs deep into the corner. That's at turn 8. So he tried to follow through Piccini as he nipped past the slow Ferrari. Eric Cairol had to take his line out of the corner, got biffed in the tail by the Audi, and that front bodywork section has now ripped itself off. More bits go flying. So this new lightweight model heading perhaps for the pit lane here. At some point, I would imagine, the scrutineers may want to look at that car to make sure it's safe. The race director may also want a word with Stefano Ortelli about driving standards here. There is going to be, perhaps a little bit pointless, a black and orange mechanical warning flag given to Stefano Ortelli. I think he's probably aware that his car's falling apart around him. He's had a rather integral part in its disassembly process here. Now more and more heading for the pit lane, including Andrea Piccini. Number 4 Henri Moser has come in. The number 70 GT4 leading Lotus has come in as well, Eduardo Piscopo. The one of significance that has yet to come in is Bas Leinders. There he is. Now, just to catch up on one or two of the fresh drivers, number 20, that was Ludovic Badet, is now Franck Morel. Number 4 has gone the way of Gilles Vannelet. 51, which was way back anyway, still being shown as Forgione driving it. Car number 2, key to the Pro-Am battle, the Vita 4-1 Ferrari, has now been taken over by Paul van Splunteren. Number 3, Aston Martin by Pierre-Brice Mena. Frédéric Fatien has taken over number 45, Lamborghini from Fabien Gira. And 31, Georges Cabin brought it in. He is shown as still being behind the wheel in that car, but I rather doubt that. You've got to keep changing the drivers. They've got 3 to get through. So 31, I think, has got the transponder position in the wrong place. It's showing the wrong driver for the moment, at least. Now there is Bas Leinders. Does he come in this time? This is the race leading car, and another lap is about to be picked off. The BMW Z4 has been a very good car this year, not just in the Blancpain series when we saw it debut at Navarra and went well at Spa, whether it's this team or the Schubert engineering team, but also in the FIA GT3 European Championship. And so Bas Leinders underlining how good the Marc VDS car is going. Now we've got number 29, which is Martin Matschke, just ahead here of the sister car of Nico Verdonk, and on the pit stops, by getting out of traffic early, Nico Verdonk has done a great job. He's into contention, and there Andrea Piccini drops back behind them. So this means that Martin Matschke is second, third is Verdonk, and down to 4th goes Piccini as he came out of the pits there, had to respect that white line. And what this means is that number 1, the Vita 4-1 Ferrari with Nico Verdonk at the wheel, has had an ideal strategy by coming in early, getting it out of some of the traffic, and that car has just worked its way back up the order, and now it is better placed than ever. It's in 4th. It was never that good to start the race in the hands of the German driver Frank Heckler, who made that short first stint. There's Stefano Ortelli's car in the pit lane. What's left of it, I suppose you could argue. 33, Andrea Piccini's car now, Greg Franchi at the wheel. And this is the fight for second place now, going on between Martin Matschke and Nico Verdonk. The 2 Ferraris then, from the same team, tied together as they work their way up towards Chateau d'Eau. Well, we saw how well 29 could defend when it was Salaquara driving it. Can Martin Matschke, who is also a newcomer to the car, defend quite as resolutely? He's gaining some knowledge of driving the car because he will drive 4 Vita 4-1 in the last German round at the end of the season. The leader in at the end of lap 40. The race leader comes into the pit lane. So number 40 on lap 40. Down the pit road comes Bas Leinders, and he's already tripped the switch to say Marcus Palteler will take the car over. So Bas has done, I think you'd agree, a tremendous job in that car within that first stint, and we'll no doubt hear from him very, very shortly. Stefano Ortelli in, 81 Christian Kelders has also brought his Porsche in to give way to Daniel Debreuer. So, driver change, fuel goes in, then we'll have the tyre change on the leading BMW. But the real question now is to see where that car rejoins relative to what is now the second place Ferrari of Nico Verdonk that has just gone ahead of Martin Matschke. So we've had the change around between the Vita41 Ferraris. There it is, there's number one. So this car now up into second place. Don't forget it was the winning car at Navarra, the other driver to take over, and we really are interested to see how he gets on because he never got to drive at Spa. Jean-Carl Vernet, who has done great things in single-seaters, most recently in America, and now with a little bit of Peugeot money helping him, is looking at a sports car career. Vita41 or Vitaphone Racing in the past has always had good relationships with Peugeot. Think about Stéphane Sarrazin driving for them, think about Pedro Lamy driving for Mikhail Bartel's team, and now J.K. Vernet is the next in this line. There's the leading car, tyres being changed, Marcus Paltela ready to go. Where will it rejoin relative to the number one Ferrari? Remember, there was a big gap opening up between them anyway. Down the pit road goes the BMW. So Marcus Paltela then, the race leader, can't get up to full speed just yet. Now he can. And number one is only now coming up towards the end of the lap. So it's still going to be quite a gap between them. There's a lot of work to do yet for Nico Verdonk, who's not been racing at this level for that long. Nico having come out of the Italian and German and Spanish Formula 3 championships, was the Belgian Touring Car Series winner last year. He's done some Formula Le Mans racing as well. Martin Matschke, their third, dropping away now from Verdonk. The team manager of Car 33 and the driver, Andrea Piccini, both being summoned to the race director now, so there's a question mark over 33. But there's Bas Linders. Let's hear from him.
Wow, Bas, what a performance in the BMW. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I was really happy. I didn't expect it. First time I drove with this car was the first stint in 24 hours, and I only did one stint, so this was like the second time I was properly driving it, and the car feels really good. It's easy to handle, and straight away I could put pressure on the Ferrari and the Audi, and they made some mistakes. They were like battling maybe a little bit too much, and I took advantage of it. And passing the slower cars is quite difficult, but I think I managed to open the gap thanks to some good passing, I think.
Thank you, Bas.
Well, Bas Linders then, his work done. Marcus Paltela is now behind the wheel of the car. This next lap is going to be his first proper flying lap, so then we'll get an idea of what his pace is relative to number one, which is the Nico Verdonk-driven Ferrari. Martin Matschke is falling away in third place. I'm still intrigued to know what Andrea Piccini has done wrong. As I say, he is being summoned to the race director, Eduardo Freitas, as also is the team manager of Car 33, which runs fourth, and there, off the road, is 36. Marco Cather has started it and spun at that part of the circuit, and he is shown as still being behind the wheel, though it has had a pit stop. Sergio Negroni and Luigi Emiliani are the other two drivers of that car. It rotates, and it's about to rejoin. Stefan Ortelli, by the way, we saw the 32 Audi in with all its bodywork damage. It is still in the pit lane, so they try to work out how that car's going to be able to rejoin without the front bodywork anymore on it. 35 Nissan there, you can see David Brabham with the race leader bearing down on him. Brabs is in 11th place now, the Australian GT1 driver for Nissan, of course, ALMS champion, Le Mans winner in the past, outright for Peugeot, GT classes for Aston Martin. And the gap last time between the top two was 11.6 seconds. So at the end of Marcus Paltela's first lap in the car, an out lap, the gap had come down to 11.6 seconds. The BMW that has led the bulk of that first hour, I suppose it's fair to say, ahead of number one Ferrari, that has been nowhere really for the first hour of the race. It was in traffic, it was within the top, dozen for the majority of the race. It had to work its way up the order. But Nico Verdonk now doing a good job. But of course that car running slightly out of sequence. I just wonder whether they're going to do just 2 pit stops or whether they're going to have to do an extra one at the end. So its strategy is key to its success here. They brought it in early, pitted early, but can they go now on just one more stop to put Jean-Carl Vernet into that car? Down the pit road has just come the 18 Porsche that was a spinner early on. Remember the car that brought out the safety car early in the race. So at the end of the 42nd lap, the leading BMW goes through. There, number one, the second placed Ferrari, being held up a little bit in traffic here. Right, left, out of the chicane, up over the timing line now goes Nico Verdonk, and the gap is 11.1 seconds. That lap, despite the traffic, was better for the Ferrari, but he's being delayed now by number 22. This is the car that was on its class pole position in the hands of Lionel Como. Lionel started the car, still being shown as driving it, but I suspect we have had a driver change in that as well, because it's made one pit stop and he's getting in the way a little bit now. The 22 Ferrari of Nico Verdonk very badly in the way there, the car drifting across and getting in the way. So Nico Verdonk is being compromised here on the run up towards the Adelaide hairpin. Goes to the inside line now, but this has become rather more of a battle to lap a car than he really needed. So I reckon that gap between the top two is going to widen this time around.